The show starts and we see that a young boy is shown by his grandfather, Koru, the Hina dolls. He and his friends mate, and Wakana, the boy, is fascinated by them. This inspires him to make his own Hina dolls, but his girlfriend disapproves of his love for dolls, saying it's a girl thing, and ends her friendship with him. In the present, Wakana wakes up from the noise of his phone alarm and says good morning to the head of the doll on his nightstand that inspired him to continue making dolls. On his way downstairs, Wakana says good morning to his grandfather and prays at the altar of his parents and grandmother. While breakfast is being prepared, Wakana talks to his grandfather about his late-night work, which Wakana brushes off. He notes that Wakana does not have much talent for creating doll faces, but the costumes he creates are excellent. The conversation then turns to whether Wakana has any friends, to which Wakana blurts out that he does. They are just all busy with their own things. Afterwards, Wakana goes to school and admits in an inner monologue that he has no friends even in high school. This is mainly due to his obsession with Hina dolls, which is not a common interest among his peers. When Wakana complains about his shortcomings, Marine flies backwards on his desk and bangs his head on it. Apologizing for the incident, Marine notices some black ink on his left arm and thinks it's some kind of cut. Flustered, Wakana replies that it's fine even though it's not, but Marin understands and leaves. Wakana then reflects on the ink on his arm and notes his envy of Marin, how many personality quirks she has he lacks. At the front of the room, Nawa tells her friends about an incident involving her and Marin. Apparently, the two were getting their hair done the day before, and when a man tried to hit on Marin, he belittled her charms as lame, so Marin replied that he was lame and left the salon, leaving the man despondent. In her defense, Marin claims that the man interpreted her as something she wasn't and that he shouldn't judge her for her interests. Hearing this strikes a chord with Wakana, who eavesdrops on their conversation and thinks that even though she is in a world apart from his, they have something in common. After school, Wakana stays behind to put the chairs on their desks and is soon joined by Marin, who helps him because she has cleaning duty that week. Curious as to why he is there, Marin asks if Wakana was pressured to work there, and he reluctantly admits that he was. He was told that he was so reliable that he agreed to do it. Marin argues that they don't think he's reliable, they think it's easy for them to exploit him to do menial labor. She then says that he should stand up for himself more and continues to work. That night at home, Wakana cuts his hand, and when his grandfather goes to get a bandage for him, he remembers what Marin said to him earlier that day. Then he realizes that the sewing machine he was using is broken. Wakana tells his grandfather, who returns with a bandage, and he says that they need to get a new one. Sad that he does not have a sewing machine to use, Wakana has an epiphany to use the one at his school. The next day, Wakana uses the sewing machine in the sewing training room and is impressed by how easy it is to use. While he is enamored by his doll's head, Marin abruptly enters the room, causing an awkward pregnant pause between the two. Amid this, Wakana nearly drops his doll's head and talks with it, only to realize that Marin not only saw but also heard him and glares at him, believing it's all over for him. On the contrary, Marin loves the fact that he can use a sewing machine. Not only that, but Marin compliments the Hina doll head that Wakana carries around, which internally elevates him. When asked by Marin if he made it, Wakana answers that his grandfather made it and that he is only good with costumes. Hearing this, Marin starts to strip out of her clothes and has him see her wearing the black outfit she's been making. Shown an example of what she was trying to copy, Wakana speaks unintentionally curtly by reviewing the outfit, hurting Marin's feelings. Prostrating himself to Marin, she forgives him and claims that she made her outfit as a form of cosplay of a character named Shizuku Tan. Because she does not have a sewing machine at home and her skill with sewing is lacking, she begs Wakana to create her outfit for her. Moved by not only her compliment from earlier but also everything that he recalled that she said that resonated with him, Wakana agrees to help Marin but admits he has never made clothing for a human before. This makes Marin overjoyed and offers to help as best as she can. Wakana confesses to Marin that he has never heard of the dating sim called The Slippery Girls 2, so Marin gives him a rundown about the series. As Marin explains the series to Wakana, he is off-put by all of the mature details involved in the game's plot and mechanics. Internally, Wakana is at a loss as he is unable to comprehend what Marin is trying to elaborate to him. Figuring that this is just some joke of the sort, Wakana comes to realize that Marin is completely serious about the game. Back to Marin, she goes on to explain her fascination with the character she hopes to cosplay as Shizuku Tan. When Marin asks if Wakana understands her, Wakana internally responds that he does not have the slightest clue. He does come to realize that when Marin talks about something she likes, it looks like she is generally having fun. He next asks why she likes a game centered towards a male audience, but Marin claims that lots of females do and that gender does not matter if you really like something. The phrase Marin uses triggers a battled memory from Wakana's past, and instead of being downtrodden by it, he agrees with Marin. To help Wakana with his project, Marin pulls out a beginner's guide to cosplaying outfit making. They refrain from starting anything like getting necessary supplies and measurements as it's getting late. At home, Wakana's grandfather, Koru, notes his surprise to see how early he is in bed and that he won't be opening the shop the next day to purchase a new sewing machine. Looking over the book again, Wakana is surprised by a certain thing that he found in the book. The following morning, Marin visits Wakana's place and after giving him a cheesecake offering, she barges in and heads straight for Wakana's room. As Marin is interested in the brushes he uses for his dolls, Wakana suffers an anxiety attack because a girl is in his room. Regaining his composure, Marin snaps him out of his trance and asks if he wants to start working. Marin wants to start with the measurements. However, Wakana wants someone else to help her with that as she will need to be in her underpants for that. Thinking ahead, Marin reveals that she wore a two-piece bikini for the occasion. Still, however, Wakana is unnerved by Marin's appearance and is irked when she touches him. From there, Wakana motivates himself to measure Marin but gets startled by her appearance. While she is turned around, Wakana asks her if she feels uncomfortable only wearing her swimsuit, to which she responds she is not and cares only for the cosplay costume. Wakana motivates himself to finally start the measurements. Once they are completed, Marin asks about the shoes she can wear as most ones she tries to wear hurt her feet. To that point, Wakana surmises the circumference of her feet must be the problem and tries to get a chair to take her foot measurements, but Marin insists she sit on his feet instead. Despite protests against it, Wakana succumbs to Marin's whims and takes her measurements from there. Once that is complete, Marin suggests they measure her inseam and bust point. Again, Wakana flatly rejects doing it, and after another awkward moment for Wakana, Marin proposes that she will do it herself. By the end of the day, all of the measurements have been taken and Wakana asks Marin for references for the character outfit that she wants. So, Marin gives Wakana both games as a reference and is flustered when he sees her not fully dressed in her old outfit. Later that night, Koru catches Wakana playing one of the games and chalks it to him being at that age, but is shocked by the fact that he is taking notes. Marin and Wakana gradually deepen their relationship by making cosplay costumes together. Wakana has a dream featuring Marin dressed in her finished cosplay outfit. It starts off innocent until, however, Marin begins to succumb to the character's arrow personality. At school, Wakana contemplates how he will be able to look at Marin again, and as it so happens, she walks down the hallway with Nawa as passers-by compliment her. Trying to avoid contact with her, Wakana is still spotted by Marin, who approaches him and thanks him for the help he did for her on Saturday. Inside of Wakana's head, he becomes so flustered because of the dream he had of her and the conflicting emotions that go against the doll head that he adores so much. Marin then suggests that she curl her hair that day, and they are then joined by Marin's other friends Nawa, Daya, and Rune. One of the friends believes that Marin is making Wakana feel uncomfortable, but Marin insists that she is not going as far as to get close to Wakana, creating a minor scene between the two. The girls then leave to go to a vending machine, and Wakana thinks that Marin treats him the same way she does when they are alone. He then overhears a couple of girls talking about how Wakana could be her boyfriend. Afterward, Marin tries to set up a meeting with Wakana, but he flatly declines. This leads to a trend where Wakana avoids any contact with Marin throughout the day, until school is over, where Marin finally catches up to Wakana and asks him to go shopping with her. Again, Wakana declines and abruptly leaves. Squatting by a curve near the train station in hopes to avoid Marin, however, she appears behind him. She scolds him and demands to know why Wakana was acting so weird with her throughout the day. Wakana admits that it's awkward being around her when they are not friends, but Marin proudly claims they are already friends. He then mentions that he overheard a couple of people claiming they are in a relationship. Marin grasps Wakana's arm and pulls him away to do some shopping. Visiting a hobby shop named Yuzuwaya, the two gloater around the cosplay section as Wakana gives Marin the notes he took down related to the character she wishes to dress as. He goes on to detail what they will need to create it and tips to make it all work. They first choose the fabric based on what best reflects the character's background standing. Although the fabric he chose is pricey and he has no money on hand, Wakana is astonished that Marin has money to pay for whatever. Despite his hesitance, Wakana accepts the money to use to create her outfit. They continue shopping at the place, and when they are done, they head to a place called Swallowtail that specializes in wigs. Taken aback by the selection of wigs there, Wakana is astounded by the colors and variations of what they have for sale there. The two then find the wig that Marin wishes to use, but Wakana suggests that they go with purple as Shizuku Tan's color character is purple. Furthermore, Wakana believes that the color would better complement her appearance, and Marin is shocked by how in-depth Wakana's analysis was. Wakana suggests they go with a deep violet color wig with a long lengthened one that could be trimmed enough to suit Shizuku Tan's asymmetrical bob cut. Hence, Marin claims she will have her hairstylist cut it for her and notes that she is glad she did not go shopping alone or else she'd have purchased incorrect material for the costume. When their business is done in the wig shop, they head to their final destination, the lingerie shop, to purchase some garters and stockings. Forced to help Marin with this part of the shopping trip as well, Wakana is forced to wait outside of the changing booth. In the evening, they enjoy ramen and a lady watches them in envy. They discuss Wakana's distance from slippery girls and discuss the costumes. Marie explains that there are many places to wear costumes, such as events or at home. She shares examples of cosplays, including Juju-san, a renowned female cosplayer. Wakana admits to thinking about his own fascination with Hina dolls. They walk and Marin buys meat wrapped onigiri from a food truck. Wakana tries to repay her, but Marin refuses. She's surprised when Wakana not only played the game but also created elaborate notes for the cosplay character. Marin offers to buy some food, but Wakana refuses. By Akabukuro Station, Marin informs Wakana that she plans to attend an event 2 weeks later. While Wakana is relieved to have all the materials, Wakana is shocked to learn that he has to complete the costume in just 2 weeks. On top of that, he has to deal with the family business in the absence of his grandfather. At home, Koro greets his grandson and was pleased to hear that he was out shopping with a friend. He, however, becomes irked and tips over one of the bags, revealing that it has a pair of women's stockings in it, causing him to fall backward in shock. This event causes him to go to the hospital to be treated there, and while waiting in the waiting room, Wakana's cousin Mayuri arrives. Wakana informs her about their grandfather's condition and he soon joins them. Taking a seat, Mayuri offers Koro to stay at her place for the 2 weeks he needs to recover. Wakana echoes that suggestion, claiming it'd be best, which leaves him to watch over the shop. Koro accepts the offer, and when Wakana claims he will bring him an extra pair of clothes the following day, Koro also requests his brushes too. A couple of days later, Wakana informs Marin why he did not attend school the previous day because of his grandfather's accident. Sad to hear about his grandfather's condition, Marin offers to help him out with cooking and stuff. Wakana declines the offer, however, so Marin suggests they exchange contact information as a way to stay in contact with one another. Wakana agrees, and after they do this, they walk down a hallway as Wakana thinks about how he has been unable to start working on the costume. Marin then mentions that her hairstylist managed to cut the wig to the style that she wanted and that she will give it to him later that day. They then stop by a bulletin board where it announces the upcoming midterms, which adds another wrinkle to Wakana's plans for the next 2 weeks. He'd had quite a lot on his plate considering the business as well. That evening at home, Wakana receives a call from someone who wants a tour for herself and a friend visiting from France. Initially, Wakana refuses to do the tour on Saturday since the friend is only available that day. He cracks under the pressure and allows it. For some time, Wakana is caught in a bind trying to fulfill all of the obligations that he promised to do. At the end of the exams, Wakana looked exhausted, bolts out of the classroom, completely ignoring Marin. That night, she visits his home to give him a beef bowl present, but sees that the lights are all off and figures that he must be spending time with his grandfather. In reality, Wakana was in his room lamenting over his lack of sleep as of late and how he has not been able to complete the dress. Looking at his brushes, Wakana recalls a memory of when his grandfather told him why he takes his brushes with him on his trips. Wakana comes to think that even if you love something does not mean you will be good at it. Getting depressed and emotional over his recent failures, he recalls another memory where his grandfather gives him mindful advice about regardless of how hard you work on something, as long as you love it, it's worth it. Recalling some of his fond memories with Marin, Wakana snaps out of his depression and continues working, and by morning, he texts Marin that he finished the costume. Afterward, Marin sees the finished product and is astounded by it, but claims that she did not intend on attending the event that day despite Wakana's determination to finish it. Despondent over this revelation, Marin sincerely apologizes to Wakana for giving the wrong idea to him and not being clear with the details. Despite all of this, Wakana was actually relieved by all of this, but Marin cries and she believes he was visiting his grandfather and again apologizes for her mistakes. To lighten the mood, Wakana suggests that Marin try on the finished product and see if any adjustments need to be made. Despite her hesitancy to do so, Wakana convinces Marin to follow through with it. The first thing Wakana does is comb and tie Marin's hair to a bun. Next, they focus on the eyes. Spare fake eyelashes from Wakana's shop are used, and without hesitation, Marin shaves off her own eyelashes to better suit the cosplay. Makeup is then applied and Wakana leaves his room so Marin can get dressed in the costume. The end result is that Marin is elated that she looks so great in the costume and that she is able to be Shizuku-tan from the game. Wakana sees Marin dressed in her Shizuku-tan cosplay and compliments it, which makes Marin feel confident and excited. When asked by Wakana if it fits well, Marin replies that it does. However, it's difficult to lift her arms, which prompts Wakana to take a mental note. Marin also compliments her boob bag and the length of her skirt, which allows a decent view of her inner attire. Marin requests that Wakana take some pictures of her. The first one he takes, Wakana comments how her pose is more like hers and suggests that she poses as Shizuku Tan would. Using his closet door as a white background, Wakana takes some pictures of Marin posing as the character. Marin creates an account to upload them all under the name Marin. Marin then suggests that they go to the event the following day, now that she is motivated. On the day of the event, Marin is dazzled by all the people cosplaying there and recognizes a few celebrity cosplayers there. Despite Marin being super excited to be there, Wakana looks and feels neurotic, noting how out of place he feels with all of the women there. Furthermore, he notes how they are drawing attention and believes it's due to his attire, but Marin downplays it as something natural for him. She also notes that it's certainly because of her boob bag, which she believes is the best there. So to help mitigate Wakana's anxiety, they move to the upper parts of the place where most of the photographers are at. It's there that Marin encounters her first photo shoot with the photographer. After the photographer is finished, Marin asks for a selfie with him, and then another photographer asks to take her picture. Wakana then notices that a line is formed to take Marin's picture and looks around to see the different kinds of people cosplaying around there. Looking at Marin, Wakana notes how happy he is for Wakana. However, he then realizes that his days hanging with Marin are now over, now that he fulfilled his promise with her to create her cosplay costume for her. Reflecting on his time spent with Marin, Wakana notes how the time he shared with Marin was unreal and fun. He enjoyed it. Once finished with the line of photographers, Marin rushes over to a perplexed Wakana and while panting notes her relief that Wakana did not abandon her. She then bluntly states that her clothes are ready to fall off. In her explanation, Marin states that the night prior, she examined the photos they took of her and noticed that her boobs did not look big enough. To fix this, she wore double nubres and now her breasts feel like they are going to burst. The panic-stricken Wakana notes that the clothing was not meant for such bras, and Marin notes how hot she is in the cosplay. Realizing her heat exhaustion is due to the fabric he chose, Wakana has Marin to a different location. Inside a nearby building, Marin wipes off all of the sweat on her and puts on a cool patch over her forehead. Looking up tips on how to cool down, Wakana finds out that it requires Marin to get undressed from her outfit. Marin then has Wakana unzip her despite his hesitance and desire to have it done in a dressing room. She then has him wipe down her back with a towel, and Wakana does so reluctantly as if he had never seen a woman before. After using a towel to wipe clean underneath her skirt and making some adjustments to reinforce her clothing, the two head back outside. Back outside, Marin apologizes to the photographer who had taken photos of her and allows the photographer to take more by the shade. During this shoot, a strong gust of wind lifts up Marin's skirt, revealing markings on her thighs. Although unfazed by this incident, Marin allows the photographer to take more photos to make up for it. By dusk, Wakana and Marin ride the train back home, and Wakana thanks Marin for allowing him to join her at that event. Marin says Wakana is welcome for that and then asks what cosplay they will do next, which surprises him. In Marin's confession, she has 51 favorite characters she wants to cosplay as. Noting how happy Wakana looked, Marin is then told by Wakana that he looks forward to continuing working with her and plans to buy a dress mannequin and make his work easier. Glad to hear Wakana's commitment, Marin insists that she purchase one for him. Finding one on the net, Marin notices that Wakana looks very drowsy and tired and suggests that he take a nap. Marin then elaborates her experience at the event to Wakana, and he compliments Marin, telling her that she is as beautifully dressed as Shizuku Tan, recalling that Wakana only uses the word beautiful to very special things that are associated with him. Both of them reach the Gojo residence. Marin washes her Shizuku Tan wig while Wakana reads out the instructions on how to properly clean it. During it, Marin is overwhelmed with infatuating feelings for Wakana. What was unaware to the two of them, Koro was being driven home, and Mayuri was told the reason behind how he injured himself. Upon arriving home, Koro is left shocked by Wakana, who holds the dress that he made, and the sudden appearance of Marin, who stood beside him. Later in the living room, Kitapro tape is applied to Koro's back and is given a full explanation of the relationship between Wakana and Marin. Impressed by Wakana's work by creating a lovely black dress, Wakana, however, claims that it's still a work in progress. As both Wakana and Koro discuss the flaws in such of the dress that can be worked on, Marin's heart races and realizes that she is head over heels for Wakana. She was in love with the boy who had an unhealthy obsession with Hina dolls. Disconcerted and indecisive, Marin comes to terms that she loves Wakana. But before she decides on how to approach the situation with him, her stomach rumbles loudly. The loud noise catches Wakana and Koro's attention, and although ready to die of embarrassment, She is invited to stay over for dinner. During dinner together, Wakana informs Marin that he cooks because he lost his parents. As it turns out, Marin also lost her mother, but her father left her because he got a job transfer. When asked if she cooks for herself, Marin says that she does and shows them a picture of a meal that she once made for herself, which confuses the two males. After learning this and the other things that she eats, Korra suggests that she eat dinner with them every night, and with Wakana's approval, Marin accepts the offer. Later, Wakana walks Marin to the train station, and there, Marin sheepishly says to Wakana that she shall see him again tomorrow. The two then separate, and on the train, Marin reflects on a certain phrase that Wakana said. On a rainy day, a young girl takes shelter at the Gojo residence. When Wakana returns home that day, Korra leaves to do an errand, but before he does, informs Wakana that a guest is there to see him. At the moment, she was taking a bath because she was soaked with water, and Korra suggested that he serve her a drink when she was done. Unnerved that his grandfather let in someone that he does not know and that Marin was at work, Wakana worries that a burglar or con artist was let into the house. Wakana then confronts the visitor in the bathroom and catches her naked. The girl is about to yell at Wakana, but instead slips backward. Briefly, Wakana recalls a memory of his past where he learns about the process of a Hina doll's head from his grandfather. Back in the present, the girl is served some juice, and Wakana learns from her that her name is Sejuna Inu and that she goes to a different school but is older than he is. Learning that she is interested in the dresses that he makes, Wakana misinterprets this as she is interested in Hina doll and shows her the room that's filled with them. Seemingly at first, Sejuna was interested in the dolls, but then reveals that her true interest is with the cosplay outfits that he makes and shows him a picture of Marin in his Shizuku Tan costume. Despite his reluctance, Sejuna emotionally blackmails him to make her a cosplay costume while noting her cosplay name as Juju. Wakana recognizes the name as someone Marin deeply admires. How Sejuna found out that Wakana was the one who created the cosplay and where he lived was she found an image of Marin online and stalked them through the day of the cosplay event. She'd also stalked Wakana on his way home to his residence. Marin visits Wakana after work and is astonished by Sejuna's appearance. Despite her real name being used, Marin is enthralled by her cosplay pictures. Sejuna requests that Wakana create Shina Mikado's Black Lily cosplay outfit for her, a character from the anime series, Flower Princess Blaze. Marin explains the story and plot to Wakana, causing her to burst into euphoria. Sejuna desires a Black Lily outfit that fits her perfectly, leading Marin to reveal her cosplay interests. Sejuna apologizes for assuming Marin was shallow and plans to leave. She asks Wakana's contact information to stay in touch with him about Black Lily. Both Marin and Wakana are confused, and Sejuna asks if they are dating. Wakana reveals they are not, and Marin asks if she can cosplay with Sejuna, but she rejects her offer. Wakana overhears this and notes the details behind the group cosplay term. In her own words, Sejuna mainly cosplays for herself and leaves behind plenty of great photos. She also plans on renting a studio for her Black Lily cosplay, which excites Marin, and asks to be a part of it, but she refuses flatly, but then offering to pay for half of the studio costs makes Sejuna look over it. The offer entices Sejuna as studio costs are pricey, and Wakana offers to pitch in as well. When asked why he is willing to help, Wakana reveals that he helps Marin with her eyelashes and makeup. Hearing this astonishes Sejuna, and Marin confirms it. Carefully considering the offer, Sejuna is left at an impasse, but Marin offers to rescind her request and looks forward to Sejuna's Black Lily photos. But Sejuna realizes that she could spend the money on her outfits instead. Conceding, Sejuna agrees to Marin's offer, but only for that one time. With a scream of excitement, Marin cheers in celebration while Wakana resolves himself to watch the entire Flower Girl Blaze anime. This surprises Sejuna, who figured that a picture would suffice to it, and watching the entire show would not be needed. However, Wakana believes watching the series would give him a better idea of the character and what material to use for the dresses. He goes on to explain how he played both Slippery Girls Season 1 and 2 for references, and it greatly helped in recreating the exact outfit. The input irks Sejuna as it is too much information for her, so she tells him to keep it to himself. When Wakana searches the net on his phone for a way to watch the series, Marin offers him her complete box set of the series, which is composed of 126 episodes in total. Afterward, Wakana informs his grandfather, Koro, about his new project and how he has to visit Marin's house to fetch some heavy reference material from there. Once that is out of the way, Koro examines and judges a Hina head that Wakana made and gives his approval of it. Koro informs Wakana that he has really improved in his skill, and that making the costume for Marin helped him improve his skills. He was proud of him. The following day, Wakana visits Marin's home and Wakana is left flabbergasted by Marin's clothing, however. Marin was more shocked about not wearing her contacts. Returning wearing a sweat jacket, Wakana gives Marin a bag of pudding and is allowed inside. With Marin briefly out of the picture, Wakana has an anxiety attack for being in Marin's home and hopes to get the discs and just leave. However, when Marin returns, she offers to watch them with him, making it easier for him to do than carry the heavy load with him home. Reluctantly, Wakana accepts the offer and is led to Marin's room that is filled with mostly Shizuku-ten merchandise. He was not surprised. Immediately, Wakana notes that it really is Marin's room. They then watch some episodes of Flower Girl Blaze while enjoying some of the pudding that Wakana brought. Wakana observes the transformation of the Black Lily character and takes mental notes. Marin, unaware of her home date with Wakana, hopes the date will never end, despite her flustered nature. Wakana, feeling hungry, suggests they eat something instead of Marin. Despite her protests, she decides to make omuris, which ends up being a failure to wrap the omelet over rice. Despite this, Wakana enjoys the meal and they continue watching the anime, making her tearful. Wakana contacts Sejuna at dusk to discuss his reference sketch, impressed by its elaborate details. She offers to pay for the costume costs, but Wakana refuses due to the early process. Sejuna denies any help for her makeup and hair preparation as she will handle it herself. Wakana mentions that he noticed a slight difference in the spacing of her eyes in her cosplay photos after reviewing her photos. Sejuna uses tape to remove a cosplay costume, impressing Wakana with her videophone demonstration. Wakana admits that his first cosplay costume for Marin was his first, surprising Sejuna, who thought he already knew about this. Sejuna and Wakana discovered that the original photos were taken from a smartphone camera, leading them to use her sister's camera and edit them in Photoshop. Wakana asks Sejuna to teach him how to use a camera, and they meet at a family restaurant. Marin, who is intrigued by the idea, tags along and imagines Sejuna's little sister as adorable and cute. The conversation highlights the importance of learning camera skills. Wakana and Marin meet Sejuna's sister Shinju, who is taller and larger than Sejuna. They get to know Shinju after a discussion about cameras. Despite her shyness, they get to know each other. Marin questions Shinju inappropriately, while Wakana tries not to hear it. The two have no words, but they eventually get to know Shinju better. Shown pictures of Sejuna's cosplays by Shinju, Marin swoons in admiration for them as she was impressed at how perfect they seemed. Sejuna then reveals that her sister is the one who created her name and account while also taking her cosplay photos. She also reveals the reason why she created the account and how she is unable to reply to any of the posts given to the pictures she posts on the account. This is mainly due to the massive blast of posts made on the account. She was extremely anxious and did not know how to reply to them. In Sejuna's opinion, she mainly cosplays for her own interests and not others, as she just enjoys the act of it, while Shinju argues that she has culminated a large fanbase now. Marin then asks Shinju if she likes Juju-sama, and elatedly, Shinju answers yes, which makes her sister blush. She was so happy for her sister. Shinju then reveals that they are borrowing their father's DSLR camera, who does not use it as a profession, but as a hobby. As Sejuna talks about the camera functions, she answers Wakana's question about the 3 different kinds of lenses that a camera uses. He then asks about the difference between smartphone cameras and regular cameras, to which Sejuna notes the differences in quality and options. She gives various examples of the pros of using a camera and her passion to improve her photography skills. Marin then asks Shinju if she would like to cosplay as well, but she sheepishly declines. With Shinju's permission, Marin takes some photos using the camera and details her interest in taking photos with it. Curious to know how much a DSLR camera would cost, Wakana looks it up on his phone and is astounded to see the exorbitant prices for it. This does not include the lens or any of the other camera equipment that goes with it. All of this information is a lot for Wakana to take in as he realizes how expensive the cameras that were used to take Marin's photos in her outfit are. As the group starts to leave the restaurant they are in, Sejuna offers the two to join Shinju and her as they scout out studios to rent for their cosplays, and they agree. So Sejuna set the date when they would do it, which came out to be that weekend, and the meeting place would be the Shin Misato station. The first place they shall head for is an old hospital that was converted into a photo studio. At the studio, both Marin and Shinju are psyched to go in while Sejuna is notably nervous. It is Wakana who notes how the place would be best to take pictures as it would be a fitting setting when Black Lily runs after she is defeated by Princess Daisy's straight right. Sejuna agrees with that assessment and then Marin calls for Wakana to hurry up. Heading inside, Wakana sees that Sejuna is not following him and asks her if she is scared of the place. Clearly offended by his question, Sejuna rushes into the place dismissing that notion, but Wakana believes his thoughts were right. Upstairs, Marin and Sejuna discuss how they would work with the darkness in the area. Sejuna also gives Marin some lighting tips which helps in the process, and Marin then hopes to pass the given information on to Wakana. Hearing some noises from outside, Marin tells them that it sounds like it will rain soon and then talks with Shinju about more camera tricks and techniques. By a stairwell, Wakana checks up on Sejuna, who is noticeably afraid as it showers rain outside. Asked by Wakana if she wants to wait outside, Sejuna rejects that offer, claiming she wants to explore the place to see if it would work for the cosplay. Noting that she is pushing herself, Wakana asks what is her reason for doing it. Softly, Shinju asks if Wakana has any dreams, and he answers that he wishes to become a Hina doll Kashurashi, and she compliments it as a worthy dream. A girl shares her dream of being a magical girl, but discovers it's a delusion after realizing it's fake TV shows. Despite the initial disappointment in her first magical girl outfit, she remains hopeful for its realization. Despite the initial issues, she remains determined to achieve her dream, even if it means sacrificing her personal happiness. Her dream of being a magical girl continues to inspire her. Wakana asks Sejuna why she wants him to create her cosplay outfit, as there are many experienced tailors available. Sejuna explains that she was jealous of Marin's photos of her cosplay and developed a desire to wear a costume by her designer. This desire is described as love at first sight. Wakana recalls a memory with his grandfather and cries tears. Sejuna is shocked and thanks Wakana for making him realize his grandfather's happiness. However, she faints as she has never had a man hold her hands before. On the day after the school exam, Marin approaches Wakana and invites him to join her to go to the beach. There, Wakana asks Marin if they are there to take pictures, since she was interested in finding locations that interested her. On the other hand, this was not the case, as Marin just wanted to go to the beach because it was July summer and they just finished their final exams. Realizing how proactive Marin can be, Wakana is asked by Marin to give her the French fries that were in the bag he was holding. Before he could, however, a hawk snatched the burger that she was eating. Being tailed by the hawk, Wakana throws the French fries at it, allowing them to lose the hawk when they flee. Having lost the hawk, Wakana and Marin sit together and Wakana gives her his hamburger, but Marin breaks it in half and the two enjoy their meal. Once Marin is done, she goes into the water to dip her feet in it and has Wakana join her after a bit. When Wakana does, he has his feet soaked by the waves and is disconcerted by it, and reveals that it was in fact his first time at the beach. Primarily due to his interest in cultivating his skills as a Hina doll Kashurashi, he never had the chance to go anywhere. His grandfather told him that he should observe a lot of things. Hearing that and more from Wakana, Marin promises to take Wakana to a whole bunch of different places. Wakana agrees to it and Marin then walks away, knowing how embarrassed she is for suggesting they go together by themselves. Back where their stuff was, Marin takes a picture of Wakana and watches him trip and fall into the ocean, causing him to get covered in seaweed. Wakana and Marin both arrive back at Wakana's residence after a shopping trip to get the materials for the next cosplay outfit Wakana was going to make. Heading upstairs to his room, Wakana mentions that the mannequin that he ordered will be arriving soon. In Wakana's room, Marin shows the bottom half of her newly purchased swimsuit, which shocks and flusters Wakana as he was not expecting it. Marin also mentions that she sent Wakana a couple of text messages with a photo of herself to Wakana, and he failed to reply to any of them. To Wakana's inner confession, he admits that a lot had happened after he saw that picture of her. Marin goes into an explanation about the new swimsuit, making Wakana become apprehensive toward her. Because of this, Marin teases the befuddled Wakana, who asks to be left alone for a while. Later that day, Marin paints a smooth glass rock, prompting Marin to ask Wakana if he blows on his noodles to cool it off, and Wakana answers that he does. She then comments that it feels good to be useful, making Wakana think that he was useful to her. Marin then undresses to try on the outfit, and while Wakana is far too scared to see Marin do this, she claims she is fine with it, but realizes she was not wearing an appropriate bra at the time. Eventually, Sejuna arrives and tries on the outfit that Wakana made for her and Mari while wearing her own outfit. Wakana asks Sejuna if any adjustments or changes need to be made. Sejuna comments that the skirt could be poofier and comparing her comment to his notes. Wakana agrees and offers to add wiring to it, but she says she'll use a tutu that she has. The cape that goes with the outfit is then worn, and as Wakana and Sejuna talk about it, Marin listens in despite not knowing what they are talking about. Interrupting her train of thought, Wakana asks how Marin's outfit is, and she says multiple times her outfit is insane. As Wakana prepares Marin's hair for her wig and makeup, Sejuna peruses Marin's makeup kit and gives her some tips and offers some of hers to better match her cosplay character. Wakana asks that Marie use the cosplay tape that they have to make her eyes look sharper to match the character more. Applying the tape to Marin's face, Sejuna advises Wakana to use bobby pins to keep the weight and tape in place. Once the finishing touches have been made, Marin uses her phone as a mirror to see herself and in a flustered state claims that she has been Black Lobelia all along, but Sejuna denies that notion. Marin and Sejuna are excited to take pictures of their cosplays, but they are disappointed when it rains on their shooting day. Sejuna is cool-headed, and during their heart-to-heart, Marin asks Sejuna to take a selfie. After posting it online, Marin notices how many likes it gets, and Wakana arrives with Shinju, surprising both Marin and Sejuna. In a flashback, the group is scouting shooting locations after Sejuna faints from an anxiety attack. Wakana asks Shinju if she would like to cosplay, and he explains why. Shinju frowns, and Wakana apologizes, but Shinju confirms it. The events unfold as everyone separates, and Wakana's cosplaying experience is a memorable moment. She claims that there is one character that she hopes to cosplay as, however, due to the character's anatomy compared to her own, it's impossible for her to pull off. There is also the notion of disgust and rejection coming from her older sister that has her feeling self-conscious, but Wakana gives her some words of motivation from his personal experiences. Shinju then pleads with Wakana to help her, and he happily agrees. Shinju, a young girl, plans to cosplay Soma Onichin from the same series as her sister and Marin. This ages Wakana, who is fat and unable to afford the materials. Wakana realizes Shinju's young age and the financial challenges of cosplaying as a hobby. Wakana promises Shinju's dream of becoming a character, despite its disadvantages. At his residence, he gives Shinju a school uniform resembling the characters. However, Shinju's bust causes the buttons to pop off, requiring Wakana to sew them back on. To fix the problem with Shinju's chest, Wakana suggests that she use a Sarahashi wrap to flatten her chest. Waiting outside of his room while Shinju gets dressed again, Wakana reflects on the hardships most cosplayers have to deal with when they have to make adjustments to their body to fit the character's image. The Sarahashi wrap does make Shinju's stomach flatter, but not so much her chest. There is also the need to use something to broaden her shoulders. Using his phone to search for an alternative to flatten her chest, Wakana finds a product known as a beholder that fits their price range. Shinju purchases it, and then Wakana tries to measure the circumference of her head, but unintentionally causes a scene involving her chest. Wakana buys a wig for Shinju's costume and invites her to cut it. Initially stressed, Wakana surprises Shinju by demonstrating his expertise in cutting wigs. He admits to feeling the same sentiment towards someone in his class. After explaining, Wakana shows Shinju the makeup he purchased and proceeds to prepare Shinju's cosplay. Back to the present, Shinju surprises both Sejuna and Marin with her own cosplay. Overcome with emotion and completely self-conscious, Shinju is surprised by the warm reception given to her by both Marin and her sister. They then take a commemorative photo of the three of them and then frantically prepare themselves for the photo shoot they were originally there for. Wakana and Marin take photos of Sejuna as Wakana watches in a dazed state. Once this is done, Marin prepares to take some photos with Sejuna to bring the play together. Despite Sejuna's unnerved state, Marin was overjoyed and more than charismatic to take the photo with her. Internally, Sejuna chastises Marin for her unprofessional attitude and claims that she hates Marin's type with a big smile. Talk about being two-faced. If it was not for splitting the studio money, Marina would not be here. While Marina and Shinju take some more photographs of Marin's cosplay, Sejuna thanks Wakana for creating Shinji's and offers to pay for the expenses of Shinju's cosplay. Although Wakana declines to accept any payment, Sejuna insists on it and admits that she was ignorant to her sister's desire to cosplay. However, Wakana gives Sejuna some moving words that Sejuna compliments Wakana as wonderful. Meanwhile, Marina has photos taken of her by Shinju, and during it, Shinju's beholder breaks. Afterwards, Sejuna and Shinju review the photos they took earlier that day in her room. They also had a heart-to-heart about Sejuna's self-conscious nature about her appearance and how she envies Shinju in some ways. Recalling something that Wakana once said, Shinju resolves herself to get a part-time job once she reaches high school and will start cosplaying herself. Exhausted by the work they did that day, Sejuna claims she much prefers doing it with just Shinju. On the other hand, Shinju claims that she had fun and was glad that they did it. Looking at a picture of Wakana, Sejuna softly claims if she feels like it, she would do it with Marin and Wakana again. In his home, Wakana is contacted by Marin, who was reviewing the photos sent by her. Watching the Flower Blaze series on her side, Marin asks Wakana how he manages to do such a great job applying makeup to make Shinju look so masculine. Wakana answers that he simply read how to do it in a magazine. Furthermore, he adds to her knowledge that Shinju wore his student uniform for her cosplay. Also, Marin misinterprets something Wakana said, making her think that Wakana wanted to start cosplaying himself. Wakana then clarifies the comment and informs her that after an impromptu moment, He had Shinju visit his home to set the cosplay up for her. Although upset, Marin tells the ignorant Wakana that all was fine despite her acting contrarily. Laying in his room, Wakana looks at the in-progress new cosplay for Marin called Veronica. A brief flashback shows Wakana in Marin's room watching a video displaying the character as they enjoy some pizza together. Because the character has a darker skin tone, Wakana suggests they digitally touch the photo up and Marin agrees to it. While contemplating the complexities of cosplay costumes, mainly the ones that he has created in the past, Marin arrives and Wakana goes to meet her at his doorstep. When he does, he's left shocked to see Marin with a dark tan, and she informs Wakana that she used a foundation to give her a pseudo-tan. Because Marin was drenched in sweat, she takes a shower, and Wakana gives her a change of clothes for her. Afterward, in Wakana's room, Marin shows Wakana the makeup and fake chain and cuffs that she'll use for the Veronica cosplay. She also shows Wakana the bricklayer backdrop that she'll use for the background of the photo. Despite not having the sharp fake teeth for the cosplay, Wakana reveals that he learned that fake nails can be used as a substitute for the cosplay. Marin tries on the teeth and Wakana is impressed by them. Marin then prepares to try on the cosplay, which flusters Wakana, making him blush. Alerted by this, Marin believed Wakana was suffering from heat stroke and went to get in some water. She, however, bumps her head, creating a bruise, which complicates her trying on the wig she had for her cosplay. Later that day, the two visit a men's clothing shop in Shibuya, and Marin has Wakana try on an assortment of clothes. All of which do not look good on Wakana, however. Marin loves how he looks in them all. They then try on the same t-shirt together and then hats. After this, they have some ramen together and continue their excursion around Shibuya. Eventually, Marin asks Wakana when they can prepare the Veronica cosplay together, and Wakana refuses to help any further with it. His reason being is that he's incapable of looking at Marin in such an outfit that has so much exposure to her chest. Hearing this makes Marin have a playful tantrum on Wakana and promises to be more mindful of her next cosplay. As they continue walking, Marin whispers into Wakana's ear asking him if he'd like a picture of her in the cosplay. Wakana's response is flustered and incoherent, to which Marin claims that she was joking. Marin and Wakana visit a manga cave to cool themselves off due to the fervent heat of the day. The heat was scorching their insides. Inside their room, Wakana is anxious due to how close the room forces the two of them to be. Right after Marin peruses the menu, she shows Wakana the new manga that she has been reading, which is abbreviated as Suksik. Marin then explains the genre type the manga as well as its plot, and how she loves half-pigtails. Admittedly, Marin sheepishly admits that she'd never cosplay as the female lead due to her insecurity and believing that she wouldn't look good in half-pigtails. On the other hand, Wakana notes that she would. The response makes Marin flustered and she considers doing it. Wakana has given an explanation of what a succubus by Marin is, since one of the main characters is one which irks him. Following Marin's suggestion, Wakana reads the manga and is left feeling warm and fuzzy by the two main characters' interactions with each other. Marin then steps out of the room to fetch some stuff and Wakana continues to read the manga. He then realizes that the drawings are so simple that it'd be hard to design a cosplay costume for Marin. By dusk, the two exit the cafe, and before they head home, Wakana asks Marin to visit a bookstore with him to get a copy of Suksik. She happily agrees and they head off to one as Wakana sees a clothing store as well. That night, Wakana tells his grandfather about how he purchased Tujinbei for himself. The scene then skips to a neurotic Wakana within a love hotel. A flashback of the day before shows that Wakana finished Marin's new cosplay outfit, and that the studio that Marin reserved to take the photo shoot was actually a love hotel. Inside their room, Marin immediately jumps on the bed and notes her enjoyment in being in a love hotel. However, Wakana is notably distraught by their situation. To Marin's confession, she was searching for a location to have their photo shoot in. When she found that place, she had no idea that it was a love hotel. In contrast to Marin's happy and lucky attitude about the place, Wakana was freaking out over their situation. To cheer Wakana up and lighten his mood, Marin shows Wakana some pictures of an all-girl cosplay group that frequently uses love hotels. Not wanting to waste her money, Marin leaves to get changed into her cosplay outfit, while Wakana watches something erotic on the television. Once Marin dresses in her cosplay outfit, she excitedly thanks Wakana for the great job that he did creating it. Wakana then explains how he designed the outfit after researching Succubus and the main character from the manga the cosplay is based on. Despite his sentiments that he failed to fully capture the details of the outfit, Marin doesn't mind as she notes that outfits in manga and anime do not always match their source material. Eventually, Wakana helps Marin put on her makeup, wig, and everything that he thought was significant for the cosplay, and he also reveals that he brought props related to the manga for the photoshoot as well. Using the props that Wakana brought, Wakana takes several pictures using his phone for the final set, Wakana asks Marin to get on top of him to replicate the lullaby scene from the manga. They do this, and the photo they take is a masterpiece in their opinion. However, this is the moment where he then, as in Wakana, realizes that what they are doing and where they are doing it is inappropriate for them, and thereby tries to get Marin off of him, which merely worsens the situation. A call from the front desk breaks up their anxious intimacy, which informs the two that their time in the room is nearly up and they decide to leave. Back at his home, Wakana bonks himself on the head while internally chanting Marin's name. He clearly felt something for her as well. On a dark, quiet night, Wakana carefully paints eyebrows onto a hyena doll and notices fireworks going off outside of his window. Just then, he receives a text message from Marin that she is in need of help. The next day, Wakana visits Marin to learn that she just needed help with her new cosplay. As it turns out, she wanted to go to a festival with her dad, but couldn't due to her not completing her homework. Marin also reveals that she has taken a part-time job as an amateur model to save up extra money for a DSLR camera. The thought of Marin wanting to purchase an expensive camera flusters Wakana. After they are done with that, they watch a scary movie. Initially, Marin is psyched to see the movie, however. She is left perturbed by it, and Wakana simply analyzes the costumes used in it. Once that was over, Marin finally finishes her English homework, but realizes that she left her math homework at school. The two then visit the school to pick up her homework, and remembering that he needs to pick up some food for dinner, Wakana invites Marin over and she happily agrees to it. As they head down some stairs, Marin spots the pool area, and although she intended to take a quick dip, she nearly drowns, and Wakana is forced to save her. In her own confession, Marin admits that she can't swim, but despite this, she does enjoy visiting the beach. Wakana relates to this with his own confession that although he's not good at painting faces, he still loves doing it. Marin then offers to take Wakana to another festival, but he notes that Marin has not completed her homework yet and she promises to finish it super fast. That night, Wakana continues his hyena doll work and receives a text message from Marin that she is working on her math homework. The following evening, Wakana is seen off by his Koro as he heads off to go to meet Marin at a festival. That night, Wakana meets with Marin in front of the shrine. Upon her arrival, Marin shows off her yukata, which hits awkward from Wakana, who loves it and makes her feel super hyped. The two then attend the festival. They first buy a candied apple for Marin, and then some okonomiyaki along with some yakitori and other food items and stuff. At that moment, an announcement is made that the fireworks will soon begin, and they then head to the plaza to watch. When they arrive, the fireworks begin and Wakana is mesmerized by them while noting his senses of the situation and how he would normally spend his time in his room when events like that took place. After a pregnant pause between the two as they stare at each other, Marin breaks it by sticking out her tongue, which was blue from the shaved ice that she was eating. Because the straps from her sandals caused minor cuts to her feet, Wakana carries Marin to a nearby convenience store to purchase some bandages. On their way there, they talk about the time they had at the festival and promise each other to attend the festival again along with the one that they missed. At home, Wakana gets a call from Marin who tells him she is too scared to go to bed after watching another scary movie. Marin has Wakana leave his phone on and allows him to even fall asleep if he needs to. They do this until Wakana goes to sleep and Marin finally decides to confess her love for him.